Well, hello, fellow gardeners. Okay, now we've come on up to this 18-gallon tote that I bought at a chain store for Walmart for $4.88. They've got 18-gallon ones. They got some that's a 20-something gallon one. Just something like this is all you need to grow in. I know you can't hunt all over the country and try to find these mineral tubs like we're fortunate enough here in Oklahoma and part of Kansas and up through there. Wherever there's cattle, there's these tubs. All I was using, the reason I was using these is because the cattle ranchers had them, had so many of them stacked up. They was leaving them out in the fields. They had them stacked up, burning them and everything. And I was just trying to figure out a use for these instead of having to go buy something. But when you're unfortunate enough that you live where you can't get these, this is mineral containers, lick feed we call them here in this country. They have protein feed in them, in molasses that the cattle lick out of this to get their protein, their minerals out of. So that they have these plastic containers left after the cows lick it empty. So that's the reason we're fortunate up here in Oklahoma to have these by the thousands around. Of course, I'll be honest with you, it's getting hard for me to find these now to sell to my customers because there's such a demand for them, because we have, if you look down there, I think we have 86 or 85 or 86,000 subscribers, and there's a lot of them people coming driving here to get in these tubs. You don't have to drive here and get these tubs. Let's go down to the chain store and help them out with an 18-gallon container. It costs you $4.88. They had them red or green. This little store I went in right before Christmas, no, right after Christmas, I'm sorry, they must have had 3,000 of these sitting in there. $4.88, red or green. You could take a little high tunnel and set these end to end, 3 rows or 4 rows down through them, and grow you a wonderful garden. Or you could set them this way, side by side, and where you can grow more stuff, a little wider potting mix. Doesn't make any difference. I'm just telling you. Okay. Now, I'm going to run through these from last year. This is one of the ways we do to fix these tubs is put these plastic containers, save your milk jugs, your pop bottles, this Dr. Pepper and Coca-Cola and Mountain Dew. They are good and hard. There happened to be a grape one that's pretty hard. Anyway, they're good. The little old water bottles we get are so soft anymore that they don't hold up good in there. So anyway, what we want to do is save our gallon containers or half a gallon. That's milk, vinegar, I think that was orange juice, chocolate milk, whatever you got. Doesn't make any difference. There's one that had V8 juice in it. Anything of these like this, instead of throwing them in the trash and letting them wash down the rivers into the ocean, killing our mammals out there, let's use them in the bottom of these. A lot of people are going to say, is that plastic safe in there? Well, friends, let me tell you. All these lines is taking the water to your house are plastic. All you go to buy this water and your food in town, guess what? It's plastic. I have not run tests on it to see. I'm not a scientist. But if I'm willing to drink water out of plastic, if I'm willing to eat my food out of plastic, why can't I put the plastic down in there for my plants to sit over the top of? So you just have to use your own conscience. If you don't want to use plastic, I don't know what you'd use. Buckets are plastic. Everything I'm using here is plastic, but you could think of something. Metal cans, metal or rust. Some people's concerned about getting the rust and all. So I don't know. We just have to figure out our own path in life, what we want to do. But I'm just telling you some things to do if you don't mind using plastic. Now you're going to have to take each one of these containers and you're going to have to drill 3 or 4 holes at the top and 3 or 4 holes at the bottom. Do not drill them big as your finger. That's too big. The soil will go in them. Drill these holes just about the size of a lead pencil or something, that red right there. Drill about 1/4 inch or less. 1/4 or less. You drill them holes, 3 of them in each one of the top and bottom of that. And I always put 4 in the bottom of a gallon and 4 in the top. Just something so that water can go in and push the air out. Because if you don't have these holes up here, as the water goes in, it'll float that tank, that container up out of your box. So you have to have these bottom holes and top holes so that air and water will even out. Okay, what I tell you to do, whether you're in a round container, whether you're in a square container, put you some of your bigger containers in there first, and then fill in with your little half a gallons. If you got some more room, fill in with your little water bottle, pop bottles till you get it full. Now, I always encourage you to leave about 15 to 20% of your soil going down in there, touching the bottom in the water, because you're going to have water now. You're going to drill you a hole in that end about 3 or 4 inches up there. I usually tell people 4. You can go up to 5 or 6. It's okay. Just the higher the water level goes, the less soil you're going to have to grow in. But somewhere between 3 and 6 inches, you drill your hole to please you. I drill one in each end of this one. A lot of people, we drill one hole, and I said, well, they're stopped up, so drill you one in each end. You can drill you one over here and one over here if you want to. It doesn't make any difference. What we're going to do, we're going to hold water in the bottom of that. It'll be in all of these containers. It'll even be out here in the middle in this soil up to that hole. When it gets up to that hole that you've got a drain hole, it's going to run out of that and overflow and get away. You don't want to do any more than that. I mean, that's all you want is just up to that hole. So we're going to put those containers with the holes in each one of these containers. Now then, I want about 15 to 20% of that soil touching the ground, so I'm going to pull 2 of these little bottles out of there and leave me now. That's 1 out, and there's 2 out. Now then, I don't care if it's over at the side. Now you're going to get a little soil down here on each side of this, very little. But I'm going most of my soil is going to go right down here and be right down here. That'll be the wick, and it will wick up to all of this. If you want it, you can have 1 wick over here, maybe push these in like into this, and have a wick over here and a wick over here. It doesn't make any difference. Just we only want 15 to 20% of that soil touching the bottom of the container. Okay. Now then, wherever you put your wicks is fine. You do not have to put any of this cloth over this if you drill your holes real small. Now, if you drill them big as my finger or bigger than my thumb, yes, the soil's going to fill them containers up and you've messed up. But drill them small so you don't have to do that. You don't have to use this ground cover. Okay. Then you're going to put your soil down in there. Push it down in them cracks till you get up here about the top of, along in here somewhere, of this, nearly up covering the bottles up. Then you put your fertilizers I'm telling you about, the Sustain and the Sea Mineral. What did I do with it, Jackie? Here it is right down here. Okay. Nothing like being prepared, is it? Okay, there's your Sustain. That's a 464 chicken poop turkey feather. No, you do not have to use what I use. You can use something else. Some people use commercial fertilizer 20-20-20. We're just trying to tweak ours to get the best results we can. And this is organic. This is a 464 slow release fertilizer made out of chicken poop and turkey feathers, or vice versa, one or the other, or both. This is ocean water that's been evaporated down into a crystal. This has salt in it, yes. This also has 90-something different trace metals in it. So we take this, we put a half a cup of Sustain, a 1/4 of a cup of Sea Mineral, and then we put an 1/8 of a cup of Epsom salt, which you have under your bathroom counter, I imagine, in a half a gallon container or something. But anyway, Epsom salt, you use a 1/8 of a cup of that, 1/8 a cup of lime and of gypsum, and an 1/8 cup of lime, gypsum, and Epsom salt. 1/8 of a cup of each one of them. You scatter that all over in that container, then fill it on up with full of soil, and you're ready to grow. Now, if you want to have a cover, you can do 1 or 2 ways. You can take a piece of grass. If you put these in a row down through your high tunnel or outside or whatever, you can lay this, no matter where you got them going this way in a row or the other way, doesn't make any difference. But you can put a row of this ground cover down over it, burn you some holes in there with a hair dryer to put your plants in to keep the weeds out. You don't have to weed, or we do that on our round containers. You'll notice some in my videos that I have this on every row of buckets I grow in there because we don't have time to pull weeds. Now then, since you bought this container and had this lid, and we're showing you how to do this in water, but if you don't do it in soil, now then you've got it all in there, your soil in there and everything up to here. Just lay that over it like that right there. Put your plants in there. Now if you're growing peppers, I'd put one here and one here. I'd lay something over the top of this so weeds couldn't grow, you know. You can lay a lid over it or something that's colored, or put a pot in there or whatever. Just something to fill the hole back up. Because you can't grow 6 tomatoes. Do not try to grow 6 tomatoes in this. 1 tomato is plenty. 2 peppers is plenty. Put that pepper right in the middle, or you can put it there at the end. It'll go get that water and that fertilizer.